Welcome. Welcome to 5 hidden careers for pharmacists. And you're looking for jobs all wrong. Hate to say it, because the truth of the matter is that 95% of pharmacist job seekers are ignored. You know, I'm not sure if you know the percentages, but 80% of pharmacists work in traditional settings, hospital, community, okay, or retail. So, what's about the other 20%? Where are they? The rest have uncovered what I would call maybe hidden, non traditional opportunities that most people overlook. And the industry it's always evolving. That's never not going to happen for better or worse. And just like a tree that grows, sometimes there's a little bit of pruning that has to happen. And those who explore those new opportunities get to discover, probably for most, more flexible work, less metrics, more impact, more meaning, more remote, higher pay, and much more likely some fulfilling career opportunities. Today, we're talking about how to find some of these jobs and getting your foot in the door. Let me know if you can hear me by typing one in the chat. That way I know that I'm coming across clearly. Plus, I just like to know that what I'm saying is getting heard, going out there. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is the misconception that why most pharmacists believe they think they don't qualify for a job and so they don't apply. We're also going to be talking about the job search problem, how most pharmacists are applying the wrong way, and why many of these roles are not posted online. Oh, hey, great. Hey, Jorge, good to see you. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you, everyone else. Appreciate you guys on LinkedIn. If you're on YouTube, let me know as well there, as I'm streaming on YouTube. So we need to talk about, why are these jobs hidden? And why is it that so many pharmacists don't know what else they can do with their career, and why they qualify for a job, or why they think they don't qualify for a job? What I'm going to be sharing with you today, I haven't really publicly said in this context. I've never gone live on LinkedIn and YouTube and said some of these things. So I think you're going to get a lot of value out of it if you take it to heart. The big misconception that's everywhere is that pharmacists get this degree, a doctorate, and then get their first job, maybe after a residency, or they do something clinical, and they think, this is all I can do. I was talking with a client maybe like 2 months ago, and she works in an ICU setting. And she said, you know what's so interesting is that I train ER pharmacists as a part of my role. And I occasionally get these ambulatory care previously residents who constantly feel, as they get trained to do this role as a part-time job, that they don't have what it takes. These are doctorate level professionals with a degree, with a license, with residency training, and they don't feel adequate enough to learn a new job outside of what they previously learned. Jorge, I actually highlighted you earlier because I know that you felt the same way when you said that you don't qualify for jobs and you feel like you're getting ignored when you do apply, especially to a lot of different jobs. And I think we have to talk about the hidden job market as it relates to how you see yourself and your experience. So Dr. Eugene Choi, who's on staff with us, is one of our career advisors. He's a pharmacist. And a few months ago, he shared with me a very pivotal thing that's a part of our program now. It's called the PI theory of success. This, actually, let me know in the chat Hit one if you've ever worked with someone who's incompetent. Have you ever worked with a pharmacist or a doctor or a nurse or someone else that you're just like, how did you get this job? Let me know in the chat if you've ever worked with someone incompetent. You don't have to say their name. I'm not saying that you need to call that person out. Just let me know if you ever worked with someone incompetent before. Have you ever wondered why that person got that job? How'd they do that? Well, some researchers many decades ago looked at that, wondered this, and asked the question, why do some people get success and others don't? Well, after researching this for years, they came up with the PI theory of success. PI stands for performance, impression, exposure. Performance and impression and exposure. Lots of ones. Okay. Hey, Jorge, you still with me? Thank you. Dan, yeah, Rima, thank you. Or Ramin, thank you. Yeah, they exist. Some of you are being nice, I think, which is fine. Most pharmacists are nice. So what leads to our success in life is our performance, how people perceive us or our impression, and then what we're exposed to. If you had to think about to what percentage your performance leads to your success in life, what percentage do you think that would be? Like maybe is it 50% of my success? Is it 75? Is it 25? I would love to know what you think your performance leads to what success outcomes, your promotions, job opportunities. What percentage do you think? There's a little bit of delay on my end. So I apologize for the, I don't know. Why am I apologizing? I'm a pharmacist. That's not within my control. It's technology. Well, the answer is 10%. 10%. Your success in your life is related to your performance 10%, which is why we have so many incompetent people in roles that we don't, we wonder how they get this job. Rana with an honest guess here, 40%. It's 10%. Bahar with 30. Oh, 80. No, it's 10. There you go. Sabrina with the winner. Maybe you looked this up really quickly in between the delay and when I checked. Sabrina's right. It's 10%. So no matter how hard you work, it's only going to contribute to new job offers, new opportunities, promotions, 10%. The other 90% is how people perceive you and the opportunities that you're exposed to. Which is why people say things like, if you're at the bottom of the class at Harvard University, you're still going to make it. You're still going to be fine. Absolutely. You're going to be a millionaire within a few years because of how people perceive Harvard and who they're exposed to within the Harvard community. It's really smart people that get there, right? It's really people who are imbued with value immediately. I mean, let's be honest. You can be the quote dumbest. I don't like using that word because it's very judgmental, but you could be the lowest GPA student at Harvard and still have an amazing career. Why most people get ignored in the job market is because they don't value their past experience and they don't present it to impress others in a really compelling way. We're going to talk a little briefly about how to do that after we go through some job titles. Why most pharmacists skip out on the hidden job market is because they think they don't qualify immediately after looking at something. They don't attempt to present themselves as a solution for what people are looking for. This has led me Well, you know what? I'm actually going to go through here for a second how we find job opportunities that are hidden and how we help people make progress. These problems about the hidden job market helped us develop really this process to get jobs you actually want in really three broad steps. One is to clarify your path. So, we're actually helping a client right now who wants to get into regulatory affairs or prior authorizations or medical affairs or MTM and something else. And immediately I was like, those career paths are totally different. They're totally all over the place, involving different work, different skills. And there's an old Russian proverb, I think it's Russian. The hunter who chases two rabbits catches neither. Rabbits. Not sure if you ever tried to chase two things at once. It's very difficult. But when you are narrow about what you're trying to get into next, everything else becomes so much easier because then you can learn how to attract key interviews. I'm going to go through some facts here about the job search process and why it's so faulty. Little hint for later. But did you know that job boards attribute only about 4 to, at high estimates, 20% of all hires? 4 to 20%. So if you're just relying on job board searching, you're missing out on over 80% of the jobs that are out there. But once you clarify your path, looking for those key interviews becomes so much easier. And then it becomes about mastering how to get a job offer, which is about presenting yourself, giving off great impressions in that interview, in the application, and of course, in job negotiations. So, what I want to talk about now is what those hidden career paths are. I find over and over again that pharmacists look out into the market and they see a job and it looks interesting and then they don't apply. If you apply to those jobs, hit a 1 in the chat or type 2 if you read a job and you think you don't qualify, so you don't even try. If you don't even try, hit 2 in the chat. It kind of gives me a feel for where you're at and what you do. Let me break down what discovering your path actually looks like. As we talked about with the pie theory of success, most pharmacists don't know how to present themselves. So we learned really quickly, oh, hey, there's some ones. Hey, I'm loving to see those ones. Okay, we're about 50-50 here. Appreciate the honesty. So what we've learned over and over again is that when looking for a role, most job seekers only want to talk about the activities of what they've done. I do clinical interventions. I do vancomycin dosing. I refill scripts. I provide patient education. And the problem with that as value is that it's useless. I hate to say it in such a blunt term, but it really is. If you put that on your resume, know that you are poorly assessing your value and presenting yourself in a really poor way. Imagine if you went on a blind date with someone. If you're already married, like, thank God that's over. I'm so glad that I don't have to go through that anymore. But imagine if you went on a blind date again, and you ask the person, like, okay, what do you do? What do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? And they said, I like to go for walks. Okay. Tell me about your walks. I like walking. Okay. Where to? Anywhere. All right. Be really weird. That's essentially what you're doing on your resume, on your application, and in your interview. If you just say, I do interventions, I fill scripts, I do vancodosing, you are not communicating the quality of your value. What makes you any better from anyone else? And I feel like everyone in pharmacy, we're taught we have to follow rules. We cannot stand out. We have to blend in. We don't want to make decisions. That's what MDs do. We want to provide advice and guidance and options for people, not tell them what to do. And so rather than standing out, which is what you have to do in the job market, it becomes more about let me make sure that my resume, my application, my candidacy looks the same as everyone else. Well, if you do that, then it's no wonder why you're ignored in the job market. But when you really dig deep and you look at what makes me special, unique, compelling, you can really learn how that can be valuable to the job market. I'm curious to know where you're at in your career journey. Are you super clear uh, to what your unique strengths are, what your personality is in the workplace, what you bring to the table? If the answer is yes, hit 1 in the chat or 2 for no, I'm not clear. And it's okay if you're not. Most people are not. But as you learn what your value is, you can then explore the job market to say, okay, I'm great. Let's say, for example, I really love patient education. Great. Who values that? Medical communications, medical information, uh, poison control centers, um, patient advocacy groups. By instead focusing on your value and what you're great at, you can match it then to the job market. And as you explore things, you gain confidence. Okay, awesome. Dan, Florence, Sabrina, I'd love it if you could just write it in the chat. Like, what's your great skill? What is your strength? This is a safe place to practice. This isn't like a place to feel like you're being judged negatively. Because sharing what you're amazing at can come from a very vulnerable place, and it can be hard for people. As you gain knowledge about what you're amazing at, what your personality is, what your values are, what you want to achieve in the world, and the impact that you make, you begin to match that and explore what companies, what industries are out there that care about these things. Excuse me. You know, when I talk to students, many of them say, like, I'm really excited to make a bigger impact, but they don't take that a step further to look out in the job market and ask the question, who's actually making an impact? Who is doing that in a powerful way that aligns with what I believe in, what I care about? So, what I'd like to do is share a few hidden career opportunities that are in demand, that are looking for pharmacists. And some of them aren't specifically geared towards pharmacists, but are things that you can do. And I'm also going to share with you a few people that have done this process, that have looked at what is their path and what do they care about, and have that match their career path. So the first one is a patient advocacy liaison. If you're not familiar with this role, I know that a few people in the pharma space are wanting to see this. You may have already heard of this. So essentially what these pharmacists do is they interact with patients as a representative from pharmaceutical companies. So they provide support and education. They reach out often to advocacy groups, not necessarily individual patients, and they figure out what are their problems, what do they need, what can they as a company help them with to get their message out there more, and obviously to provide more marketing for their products. They could be involved more with like regulatory um, companies on the regulatory side of their business. They could be involved more with advocacy groups. It really does depend on what the company needs. They engage with nonprofits, stakeholders, legislators sometimes. They ensure that like the regulations of whatever is in place for policies from the federal government or state governments are being followed, because they need to be essentially rule followers, which I know most pharmacists love that kind of work. And they also collaborate with the other departments within the organization. So, medical affairs, market access, commercial teams, to integrate that patient feedback, because that's also important, that they get feedback from the patients who are using the drugs and report that back to the team. Here is how people see what we do. So, does this actually exist? Well, I want to show you a friend and former client of ours, Erica Heilich. I think you guys can see this. Let me minimize this. So, Erica is a wonderful pharmacist who's remote, who's working in the ATL area. She's working with advocacy groups. But the other cool thing that she really loves is that it helps her be more present with her son, I believe. Her child. There, I'm 100% accurate. And it allows that flexibility to be there for them, take them to school, be there for programs. But it also allows her to pursue her other passions. She's very interested in providing more STEM education to the next generation and to inspire people to pursue those paths. That's what this link is here. iwearawhitecoat.com. I would encourage you to reach out to her. She could always use some encouragement and connections to encourage her to pursue this passion of hers. One of the things that I love about getting people into like new and non-traditional roles is that once a pharmacist makes that transition, it's like a pivot path. They want more. They become engaged with their career. They realize that there's more impact that they could be making. And so it gives them the freedom, the space to explore other things. I was really lucky in my own career. I was an ambulatory care pharmacist. I did a lot of anti-coag, unfortunately. I was very bored by it. Some people love it. Good on them. Okay. But because it wasn't insanely stressful, I was more disengaged with my job. I was burnt out because I had bullies and it was just not a great role. But it allowed me to pursue what I wanted to do next, which ultimately became the career that I have now as the founder of the Happy Farm D. And it's remote roles and it's jobs where you find really engaging work that could allow for that kind of thing. So the next role is the clinical trial manager. This is, of course, something within industry, more research based. This role is something that involves trial planning and study design. The reason why I picked this one in particular is because an old contact and a client of ours reached out to me this week, who I'm going to be talking to in just like, I don't know, 2 hours from now, something like that, is Tendai. Tendai is someone who is working on contract with organizations and providing services to plan for the execution of trials. This is something that a lot of pharmacists don't even know that they can get into. These kinds of people are ensuring compliance with good clinical practice, You may have remembered that from pharmacy school. You may have forgotten it. But of course, regulatory requirements from the FDA, other organizations and bodies like that. They provide oversight and compliance, making sure that they're hitting marks and metrics. It's very much a project management role with a lot of clinical background. It's data collection, it's quality assurance, it's staying on top of budget and vendor things. But it's something that people do on the side. It could be a full-time role, but you could also be a contractor. Something to consider. Another role is market access or drug pricing analyst. This again is within the industry. And this is something that I know a lot of retail people are transitioning into. One of our former coaches, Sandeep Chakrabarti, this is how he was he was a pharmacist, I believe, at Rite Aid or one of the major chains. Rose up the ranks, became a manager, and then I think eventually district, and then transitioned into market access, and has now moved up the chain even further. Market access is all about pricing strategy and providing access to the medicines that the pharmaceutical company provides. So it's looking at sales, it's market share, it's reimbursement, it's collaborating with different teams to understand where are we at in the market research, of course, it's competitor analysis. It's probably not exactly doing the work of HEOR or health economics research outcomes, but it's at least collaborating with them to understand the pharmacoeconomic background of a drug, how to explore those things, looking at payers, that sort of thing. It's looking at reimbursement strategies and executing on those. It's collaborating with people on the front lines and seeing, what are you seeing? What are the objections as to why patients don't get our medicine filled? And it's providing access to those drugs. It's like probably many of the programs that you have interacted with, if you're especially in the community or outpatient setting, like payer programs, those are run by people, some of them pharmacists. And and I forgot to show someone in that field. So Chan Wu, I found him because I was connected with him, but he's in Canada. I know we have a smaller Canadian audience that follows me, but I wanted to show that, hey, even this position crosses borders. I was going to comment on political, and I'm not going to. So I'm curious to know, have you heard of market access before? Let me know. One, yes, you've heard of it. Two, if you haven't. Market access is something that I know a lot of people haven't heard of, but I'm curious to know if you've heard of this or not. So there's a new field that is budding and growing. And I think the market is moving more in this direction, but it's still at early adoption. And it's integrative medicine, or you could also call it functional medicine. Excuse me. So have you ever heard of the problem before that people are tired of healthcare as a whole because it doesn't really solve the problem? That's what integrative medicine, that's what functional medicine are trying to solve. Now, integrative medicine is different than functional medicine. Functional medicine is more of like a method of approach to healthcare. Integrative medicine, from my perspective, is much more about collaborating with multiple people and providing care from a collaboration perspective versus like a single decision maker. Sometimes people use it interchangeably. One of the things that I often complain about in many of my workshops is that in healthcare, we're really bad at naming things. And it's very confusing to people outside of healthcare. But essentially, what you can do in these roles is you can act as someone who is trying to dig deep with a patient to understand what their problem is and how to get to the bottom of it. So personally, why didn't I think of her? Oh my gosh. My wife, who's been married to me now for over 15 years. She has, unfortunately, a lot of health issues, and she's working with a pharmacist right now who is getting to the bottom of some of her health issues. And it's been very revealing to understand, oh, actually, she has a hormonal issue, a thyroid issue, even though all of her labs scream normal. It's been so empowering and impactful for her, and it's been giving her more energy on a day-to-day basis. That's the impact of what this path can do. So someone who I know is in this space is Payal. So she is someone who's a functional medicine pharmacist. She's someone who's connected to a lot of different FM pharmacists in that space. If there's someone that I recommend that you follow, it's Lauren Castle, who's the founder of the Functional Medicine Pharmacists Association. I know she's doing a lot of work right now at providing more training on a state-by-state level to pharmacists. But this is a career path that you could pursue that is potentially a side hustle, a new business, and there are more opportunities cropping up, mainly in independent pharmacy spaces that are looking to provide these services. One of my recent clients, Melissa Bass, was an independent and outpatient pharmacist for years, stepped down to become a part-time pharmacist. And on the side, she is, for like 2.5 days out of the week, she's providing this kind of care to individual patients and getting to the heart of the matter. And within about 5 months, we were able to double her monthly revenue from her business. So it's something that's more entrepreneurial, and it does take time to develop, but it's something that you could also make into a career. So the final thing that I wanted to share, and it's a little bit, I'm a little bit tricksy here, I'll be honest. It's vaccine information specialist. So have you ever heard of this role? Yes, 1, 2 for no. This is a role that is technically medical information and medical communications. Now, I know I was like, okay, this is definitely a job that I think 95% of pharmacists have never heard of before, but it's something that exists. So Veronica was a client that we worked with, well, I think a little over a year ago now. And she was a former retail pharmacist, outpatient pharmacist, working at a major chain, and was wanting to go remote so that she'd be more present with her child. 100% accuracy. I cannot be wrong. And it's very much a medical affairs job, a medical information job. You are processing complex information, and you are either collaborating with people within the company and the pharmaceutical industry, or you are collaborating with other healthcare providers. So that's anything and everything, right? From PAs to NPs to MDs, whatever. But you can also integrate with patients. So we have a lot of stories. And in fact, I've been mentioning people, and I haven't been really promoting our channel. I know that we have stories of these people sharing. Oh, would have been good if I had links or pictures of our YouTube videos, huh? That's okay. Veronica is her name. And her story is on our YouTube channel, where she shares more about the process of how she got into this role and what it's like on a day-to-day basis. Highly recommend you check out that video. But essentially, you're providing information, you're analyzing questions, you're doing research, and In most cases, you're remote. Most people don't look for these jobs. They don't understand them. They don't know how to get started in them. They don't understand what it's like. And I think it's because of the job search process. So the job board, the job search, type a yes in the chat, type a 1 if you're having fun looking for a job. If you're not having fun, if it's not fun, type a 2. Because I feel like that's where most people are at. The job search is not fun for most people because it feels like screaming in a void. I think most people feel ignored. When I asked people, like, what do you want me to talk about in this webinar today? Many people said, how do you identify jobs and how do you get your foot in the door? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of 2s. Yeah. I think the reason why it's not fun is because you feel ignored. I have a coach, and over the last 2 years or so, I have really discovered the thing that I hate the most is feeling stupid. And one of the triggers for me feeling stupid is when I'm ignored. When I feel like no one's paying attention to me, no one's considering me. And that has to do with a bunch of family trauma, a bunch of family issues. But I think that this fear, this annoyance makes most job seekers feel like they're failing. You apply to a job, you get rejection letters, or worse, you don't hear back at all. And so one of the ways that we know we improve in life with any sort of skill, be it social, a soft skill or a hard skill, is when you get active feedback, when you're like being told, okay, this is what you're doing wrong, and this is how you can improve in it. But when you look for a job and you ask for feedback from a hiring manager, what are they going to say? It's some template BS response that they have to give you, because if they literally tell you something like, you're not the right candidate, you're too old, you're too young, you're not from the right location, whatever it is, that can open them up to a lawsuit. So they don't give you anything of value. I know that Gurdeep wondered, I want to know how to find like senior roles, director and above. Where are these jobs? Because when I apply, like, I'm not noticed. So I think we have to go over some facts about the job market. Because if you and I are not on the same page about looking for something, I don't think you're going to be very effective. So let's go over some stats. Okay. I said at the very beginning, 95% of pharmacist job seekers are ignored. But that's our stats. That's our information that we track. What's the bigger picture here? You may have heard the term hidden job opportunity, hidden job market. Let me break down why this is so important. 40 to 60% of jobs are never posted online. 40, 60, 50, half, call it half. Half of jobs aren't posted online. Here's why this happens. So in many companies, larger and small, managers already have someone in mind before a role is ever posted. They might know a colleague or a referral from someone that they trust. And so companies, but you may be saying, you may be like really in tune with the market. So you may say to yourself, okay, but then why are people posting jobs? Well, companies over a certain size are required by law to post their job postings because the federal government wants to track this information. But by the time they post it, they may only keep it open for half a day or 24 hours or a week. But before they even post it, the decision has been made, especially in higher level director positions. On top of that, oops, I skipped ahead. On top of that, 70% of the job market are filled through networking. Remember the pie theory that I talked about earlier? Impression and exposure contribute to 90% of your success, your job opportunities, your promotions, the things that you get into. 70% of jobs are filled through networking. Despite all the technology that we have, the algorithms, the AI that we have today, hiring is largely based on personal connections and impressions, who you know, your exposure, and how people perceive you. So even if you are the pharmacist with a 2.5, 3.0 GPA, you can get somewhere in life. I remember, I'm going to call him out. I call him out as an example. I hope he appreciates this. But I'll keep him anonymous. There was a pharmacist in my class who consistently got very low grades. Like he was on the verge of failing many classes. And I remember him voicing concern during that time, like, I don't know. This is a concern. Our employer is going to take me serious. Now he is in the government affairs for one of the state pharmacists association. Grades, performance is not as important as you think it is. We are a human society. So stop playing to an algorithm that doesn't play to your game. If you want to know why you're ignored, it's because you're not putting effort into building relationships and exposing yourself to new people that you haven't met yet. Less than 20% of hires come from job boards. And out of all of the applications that these people get, 95% of them are ignored due to they don't know you. They don't know where you went to school because you didn't go to their school. And the applicant tracking system ruled you out because you didn't have the perfect keywords on your resume. It's not your fault if you're focusing on job boards because that's the system that everyone turns to. It's where people think the jobs are. But the good news is that there's another way. There's another approach, and that's where our method comes in. We had a couple of people asking questions specifically about this. Andrew saying it seems like very few people go into less traditional roles and most don't know they exist or where or how to start looking for these. And Ratish asked, how do you get noticed for interviews and job offers? I'm seeing some specific questions about the person I asked. No, he doesn't teach at Campbell. Probably fits the same mold though. What it comes down to is how do you find these jobs? How do you land a job offer? It comes to clarifying your career path, where specifically you want to get into next, attracting those opportunities, and then securing a job offer. The core issue is that every pharmacist I've ever met, ever coached, ever worked with underestimates your value or their value. You're so close to your own potential, your own skills, and your strengths, but it takes someone else to point out what you're great at. And so most people convince themselves, I can't get into this. I only know clinical. I only know hospital. I only know retail. I only know medical affairs. But most people just think you're just not good enough to even try. You know, your mouth is right below your nose, but you need someone else to tell you that your breath stinks. You're not a pile of problems, okay? You have plenty of potential to go do the things that we talked about previously, the career paths you want to pursue, or something else. The way to clarify your career path comes down to identifying your value. You're more than your worth. If you want proof, I've got a simple example. We got a lot of people from different career paths here. I see some academics, I see some retail people, I see some hospital people. Type a 1 in the chat if you have something boring on your resume, like verified scripts, verified orders, performed clinical interventions. 1 in the chat if you do that. 2 if you don't. So that's not valuable. No one cares about that. But let's say, for example, that you want to get into a role where you're providing medical education. Well, what do those companies care about? They care about growing their company. They care about growing revenue, about increasing market access. Well, how do you convey that value to what you've already done? Say it's verified scripts. Okay, yes, thank you. We've got some ones. That's okay. It's worth confessing. Companies care about 2 big things: making money, saving money. Without doing those 2 things, the companies won't exist. So, how as a pharmacist can you turn verified order or filled scripts, something as simple as that, into value? Well, I do this all the time. I point this out to all of our clients. Profit per prescription, based on a few years ago's averages, is around $11. Profit. If you don't know that business term, it's basically the money left over after all of the expenses to perform create the product, buy the product, or provide the service, whatever. $11 per script. Okay. Just straight up cash that the business could do whatever it wants with. Let's say that you're doing a mediocre, I'll call it, for some people this is a lot, but let's say it's a mediocre 200 scripts in a day. And let's say that you work 250 work days in a year. If you did the math on that, clickety click, clickety clank, that's $550,000 in profit in 1 year on average that you produced for your company. If you did revenue, and that probably would be the number I would go after, it's about $56, $55, $60 per script. That would be $2.8 million in revenue. That's valuable. Everyone here who's a pharmacist, save you, my pharmacist student friend. Sorry to pick on you. Everyone here who's a pharmacist, who's practiced at least 1 year, is a money-making machine. You have produced an incredible amount of value in the world, and you probably never held that perspective before. A coach is someone who shifts your perspective to see what employers value and where it's already present in your career history. But the other thing that we do is we clarify your purpose. We help you align what you actually want to do and what you care about and what you want to achieve, and where that exists in the world. The last thing that we want to do is help you get into a job that feels icky, or it feels like it's misaligned with who you are and what you want to do in the world. We build confidence, because the way to move forward in the market, and I've talked about this, the job board doesn't work. What does? How do you attract interviews? When you're clear about your purpose and what you're trying to get into, we help you gain the confidence to reach out to people. Pharmacists, we're all about patients. We're all about people. And yet The reason why your job search probably isn't fun is because it doesn't involve other people. I'm talking with an old client of mine. We literally just had to back and forth texting. And I asked her, she's looking for something new in a different field. But she's not networking. And I asked, okay, why not? I quote, I absolutely dread cold message networking people on LinkedIn. I'd rather maybe network in person somehow. But she's not doing that either. the the solution to life's big problems, I find, are always about who. It's not how, it's who. Who can help you solve this problem? Statistics show that you are 10 times more likely to get a job interview if you get a job referral. Our entire program is built around this idea of getting you outside of the box of being alone, because looking for a job by yourself tends to not work. And I got some data to actually prove that. Because if you just blindly applying, hoping that someone will take a chance on you after seeing a resume that boringly says what you do, probably not going to work. It's not going to convince someone that you have what it takes. Let me know in the chat if you're actively networking. Yes for networking. No for not, which means you're not even like trying to grow your network, meet new people on LinkedIn. You're not engaged with your state association. You're not going to networking events. That's a 2 if you're not doing those things. You could say that our entire program is about giving people the confidence to reach out boldly to people. We have this rule in the program called the 80-40-20-10, which means connect with 80 people a week on LinkedIn. 40 of them will accept your connection request. 20 of them will have a conversation with you, and 10 of them will likely jump on a call or share more about what their day in their life looks like and potentially give you a job referral. It is job referrals that get you into industries that are hidden, that you have never heard of, that other people don't know about. This is how you get ahead. It is through relationships and by understanding what your unique struggles are, what your strengths are, your goals. And each coaching session is meant to be about action oriented to get you out there to other people and asking the right questions to get a job refuel. Coaching literally is the fuel that has to be present to move you forward. The way we do this is providing a clear career vision into a career path you actually want to get into that's based on your values, your strengths, your personalities, and the goals that you have to attract those key interviews, the right opportunities, so that you know how to network, get those job referrals, and have yourself stand out from everyone else who's applying to that job, because you have competition. It's everyone else here in the chat. And then to finally secure a job offer and take confident action to master applications, get mock interviews, get feedback on your cover letters and the things that you're doing. Because if you're just going alone, here are your chances of getting another job. I'm just letting you know the statistics. This is our data, okay? In 2021, we spoke with around 700 people, okay? People reaching out to us wondering more about our program or just wanting more information. And we tracked, of those people who didn't work with us, how successful were they? And I had my ops team basically analyze their LinkedIn profile and reach out to them and ask questions. You have about a 1 in 5 chance of getting a new role. Okay. 1 in 5. that's the chances of getting a new role. And on average, it took those pharmacists 21 months to make that transition, almost 2 years. And that doesn't even account for the months or years that they were looking previously. The problem that we solve at the Happy PharmD is this. When people follow the program, 91% of people get a job within 6 months. On average, it's about 3.5 months. And it comes down to that clarity of what you want to get into next, getting those job referrals, confidently asking what they need, and providing the value in those interviews and the application and the negotiating for all your flipping worth. What we do is solve this. And it's what we're all about. We're on a mission right now by 2045 to help 35,000 pharmacists transition into roles that actually value them, that give them the flexibility to live their life, to be present with family. That may be remote, it may be per diem, it may be whatever they need. Because if enough pharmacists leave toxic work environments and start doing jobs they actually want to do, it's going to change the industry. Other companies will take notice. They already are. Bonuses are back. If you're new to the industry and like you just graduated last year or this year, it hasn't been that way for 15 years. There's a reason for it. And it's because people don't want to take crappy jobs that they're offering these bonuses for. That's the way it is. But I would love to influence it to make companies, not just at the major chains or the hospitals, but like systems treating pharmacists better so that this burnout problem becomes a relic of the past and not really a treasured relic. Like, I'm glad we discarded it. How we do that is through weekly coaching, step-by-step instructions, courses on everything from choosing a career path to networking, to LinkedIn, to applications, to interviewing and negotiation. And I regularly provide weekly office hours and workshops. The next step that I would encourage you to do is to talk with our team. We have 3 career advisors, Dr. Eugene Choi, Teresa Gilmore, and Reese Stubbs. By doing a call, actually, if you just go to this link, thehappypharmd.com/0214, you answer a few questions about where you're at so that the call can be super productive. And they're going to get to the root cause of like what's going on in your career. That maybe it's frustrations, maybe it's your job search, maybe you don't know what career path you want to get into next. And it's going to help you get a little bit of clarity about what it looks like to transition in the next 3.5 months. I don't know. That sounds inspiring to me. I regularly work with coaches who help me with things. It's not so much to get a job, but it's more about like getting where I want to go faster and getting super clear about it. You've already done the hard part. You've already earned your degree, started your career, except you as a student. It's time to do something extraordinary. It's time to move into a pivot path or a dream path for your career where you actually enjoy the fruits of your hard labor. Because if you're not happy in what you're doing, why would you stay another day? What is the point? Yes, it gets you money. Yes, it gets you things, but there's much happier people who are making $50,000, $60,000 a year. You do not need to work another day in something that is making you miserable, making you unfulfilled. Come on. We're in the 21st century, right? I think you're smart. You have a doctorate level. It's time to get some fuel back into your career and to make it really fun again. And all you got to do is just a few minutes, answer a few questions, and talk with us. You can learn more about the coach program to see if it's a right fit for you. I think it is. I'm kind of the one doing it. Oh, Sabrina. Reese is super nice. I'm trying to think of something that you can tease about. Tell her I said hi. I can't think of anything. Reese is a little bit, well, I haven't actually met her in person yet, but we are having an upcoming company retreat in a couple months. I would love to know from you, what was your big takeaway from this lecture? I've been teaching on these things for a while. There's I wanted to include more, but I'd love to hear from you. What was your takeaway from this live? I appreciate your feedback as it helps me improve with each one that I do. I am also wondering if we should do more about this. I'm planning an event right now that's called Choose Your Next Pharmacy Career Path. And it's all about, excuse me, identifying 3 ideal next career paths for your next step. Let me know in the chat a 1 if you're interested in that, or 2 if you're not. It's not going to offend me if you're not. Bahar, no, we do not provide services outside of the US. Unfortunately, that is outside of our specialty. We are not trained in helping people move from one industry to another. We do know how to coach people. We could definitely help you with that. But if you're looking on how to come to the United States, that is totally outside of what we do. Sabrina 1, thank you for that feedback. I really appreciate it. Great profile pic, by the way. Really nice. If you do want some feedback, though, I would use one of those either AI things or like background removers, and I would just try to get this into a plain color because it there's a little like line here at the top right that's a little bit distracting. Hey, Anjuma, great. And I love this new profile picture that you put up. This is so beautiful. I love this. I should probably, I'm looking at it here on screen, but like, oh, such a great smile, solid background, fantastic. Excellent. Networking. So Chelsea, should I talk about networking next week? How to network, how to get, how to meet new people, how to connect with new people, all of that fun stuff. My student, adventuros. Is that Spanish for adventurers? I don't know. Probably not. It's probably your name. Good. You're getting ahead of the curve. Most students wait until it's the final year to get serious with their career. Good on you. As you should be. As you should be. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I know I went a little bit over. Appreciate your time today and your feedback. I'm just happy to be doing this. It is an honor that I get to do what I do, to teach about like what's possible with careers and helping pharmacists not just like do something a little bit better, but like really love what they do. I'm remote. Right now, I'm in Texas for the next 3 months because I don't have to be in one location and I'm away from the Michigan weather. I'm just overcome right now with a feeling of gratitude and thankfulness. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope that this was helpful. Let me know in the comment below what you would love me to cover next in another live, because I really just enjoy teaching, sharing, just being me. I love it. Yeah. Love hearing that. Love hearing that. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate your gratitude. Will you post to rewatch? It is, yes. Well, technically it's on the link that you watched it. So once this is like over, you'll be able to watch it again. Um oh, hey Chelsea. As you should. As you should. Tell her Alex says hello. Erica's very sweet. I got to meet her at mid-year this year, ASHP, this last year. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. And I would love to see you in the program, as it is essential for a career's next step to have someone outside of yourself show you the quickest way to get ahead. Olympic athletes don't compete without a coach. Why would you treat your career any differently? Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.